This is the Black Information Network Daily Podcast, and I'm your host, Ramses Ja. And sometimes the amount of stories that make their way to us means that we simply can't cover everything that comes our way. But from time to time, a story just stays with me, and I feel compelled to share it with you and give you my thoughts. And now, one more thing. I, comically and famously, have been the one lacking when it comes to sports knowledge and, involvement and interest in athletics in general. But I think that, like most folks, I can appreciate the athleticism. So I'm down to watch a highlight reel, whatever. I appreciate all that. But in terms of like being really involved in sports, like most people are, understanding stats and all that sort of stuff, it's not a real thing for me. And I'm very much the minority. Most people, especially most men, most guys, they really know a lot about sports, and it's something that really kind of fuels and drives culture and conversations, how people meet and how they bond and share stories and fellowship. And it really does matter a lot to a lot of people. And it's something I've always missed out on in my life, especially after high school, because music took over my life and sports was never that big of a deal. Now, Q was once upon a time, I almost said is, but I think it stays with you forever. But Q is the athlete in my world. I'll say it that way. And so Q is always kind of breaking some things down to me. Now, I, like most people, have been paying more attention to the WNBA because of recent developments in the league. And where most people might have been paying attention because of an athlete being super skilled or whatever, my interest had to do more with the racial implications of the athlete being introduced to the league, and among, I guess, her peer group, also of excellent athletes, right? Something like that. And this kind of got ratcheted up into high gear because, Q and I, we famously work closely with the Suns organization in Phoenix, Arizona, and we DJ at the stadium. And I actually was asked to come and DJ a couple of Mercury games. And the Mercury is the women's the WNBA team in Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm like, hey, that might be fun. I'll go check it out. But prior to that, I'd never been to a WNBA game, and now I've been to two because I was the DJ there. And I came across a story from, this might have been a couple of days ago, and this is on TMZ. It says, no evidence of racist fan behavior at Reese versus Clark game. And that felt like something worth diving into. Now, I don't know if you want to paint this picture, Q, or do you want me to go into the article?
Article first.
Okay, let's do the article. So for those that are like me and not intimately familiar with the goings on in the WNBA, I will share. Again, from TMZ, the WNBA said it's found no evidence fans were spewing racist hate toward Angel Reese or anyone else during Chicago's game against Caitlin Clark's Fever earlier this month. The league launched a probe after social media accounts alleged Reese and some of her teammates were on the receiving end of some disturbing trash talk during the Sky's May 17th matchup against the Fever at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. But in a statement released Tuesday afternoon, the W says its investigators have yet to find anything that corroborates this report. Quote, based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team, and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated it, unquote. This is according to the league. Nonetheless, Reese clearly supported the investigation, as during a May 20th meeting with reporters, she said there was no place in the game for behavior like that, for the behavior that was alleged, sorry. She added that she was thankful the WNBA and her team were looking into everything. And this is the last little bit here. For the Fever's part, it was clearly happy with the league's findings, writing in a statement Tuesday, quote, we appreciate the swift and thorough process undertaken by the WNBA to investigate these allegations, which were not substantiated. At Gainbridge Fieldhouse, we are committed to providing the best possible basketball experience for players and fans where hate speech has absolutely no place, end quote. This according to the team. And the last little bit, Indiana is home to the world's greatest fans, and we look forward to an exciting season of Fever basketball. So the reason that this stood out to me is because this word racist has been really part and parcel to this particular development in the WNBA. Um, as as far as I know. I remember when the WNBA first became a thing. It was first like kind of rolled out, right? This might have been, I couldn't tell you how long ago it was, but it feels like recent enough memory. So late 90s, early 2000s is what I'm thinking. I can't be for certain, but I remember there was such a big deal and there were all these athletes and they were all different races, right? And it felt like kind of the normal NBA, right? Where basketball is just the game that they're playing. They're not going to be racist fans in the NBA, and there's not racist, certainly not in the WNBA, right? That sounds crazy. So you wouldn't even think about racism and WNBA in the same sentence, in the same context. But as soon as these two athletes made their way into the WNBA, that word racism and racist and all that sort of stuff started swirling around. And I always wondered, what is the deal with the WNBA, the fans, or these athletes in particular that is causing this to happen? So if you have any context for me, perhaps our listeners will learn too.
There's a really, really interesting thing that happened with the WNBA a couple of years ago. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark were two of the best players in women's college basketball. Right? Most could argue they were the two best players in women's college basketball.
Sure.
And like in every very, very historic rivalry where one person or one side is black and the other side is white, you don't have to inject race and racism into it. It's built in.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Please.
Because you would know better than me, not because I'm trying to imply anything. Was this the case with like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson?
Absolutely.
Was it?
Absolutely.
Oh.
And not because either of the people involved were racist. It's just you get to be the avatar for people that are. And salute to Larry Bird and salute to Caitlin Clark. Even though she was a bit slow to speak out against it, I think she was just trying to steer clear of the chaos that comes with today's United States and dipping your toe into politics or race or anything in this, where now politics and race are intertwined.
More or less, yeah. I see
right? If you're racist, you support the MAGA Republican Party.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair. That's more than fair.
Without fail.
Yeah. All the racist people.
The racist people do that. Now, one would argue not all of the MAGA party is racist.
Yeah, that
it's a flimsy argument, but it could be made.
Yeah.
But the other side is true.
Yeah.
All racists are MAGA.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting time that it's hard to avoid that part of the conversation. So what happened is Angel Reese is a confident, beautiful, talented, outspoken, authentic Black woman, queen, champion. Caitlin Clark might be one of the best women's basketball players you'll ever see. And she's middle America white. So she became the avatar
for a lot of people.
For a lot of people that would love to see this confident, outspoken, flamboyant, talented, champion Black woman put in her place.
I see. So I see.
So Caitlin Clark didn't bring those fans with her. No. They beat her there. They saw that she was on her way and they beat her there. So around the league last year, especially when these two played each other, some of the worst that our country has to offer showed up because they made Caitlin Clark their avatar. Not because she asked for it, not because she supported it. And eventually she stood up and spoke out against it.
Okay.
I think originally she was a rookie. She was just trying to get her footing and she didn't feel it was her place to speak up or out against these people that she didn't agree with, that she didn't know, that she didn't ask for. But I think as she became a little bit more seasoned and started to look around, she noticed that I'm playing this game that was built on the back of Black women and a lot of Black queer women,
Mm.
a lot of Black women that are a part of the LGBTQ community that have to deal with everything that comes with that. You know, you and I were speaking on a show recently about people trying to talk about the choice that they made as if they would make the choice to be the most scrutinized, judged, ridiculed, oppressed,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
as if they would choose that.
yeah.
These women are being who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And those who look to oppress people that are different from them stoke religious fear and damnation and everything against these women to make them evil, to make them the bad guy, to make them the bad woman, to make them lesser than or other or whatever you want to do. So this is like the perfect storm for those people.
Mm.
Again, where Angel Reese is a champion. Angel Reese was the national champion the year that her and Caitlin Clark came out. But Caitlin Clark was the one that got the signature shoe deal.
I heard about that,
You know what I'm
right?
saying?
That was a part of the racist. Did we have that conversation? I don't know if we had that.
I mean, like I said, race will play into it automatically.
Yeah.
And some, you know, white women athletes are acknowledging that, saying out loud that, yeah, this was built on the back of Black women.
Good. Okay.
And they deserve their props. They deserve that shine. And they point out and acknowledge, yeah, I do get a little bit more light because I'm white. And even if it's just a little bit, I love that they acknowledge it.
Yeah, that little bit.
You know what I mean? And this headline was interesting because in all caps, no evidence of racist fan behavior. But they're talking about this one game. Mm-hmm. And their investigation doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But even if it didn't in this one game,
it has happened.
A lot of people will take this headline and this investigation to say, see, it doesn't happen.
Cover for all the incidents.
See, it's your imagination. Yeah. See, you guys are race baiting and playing the victim. See? So it becomes a very, very complicated conversation to try to have because some of us are showing up, even those of us that have been fans. Like my favorite athlete is my niece, Crystal, an All-American, All-Michigan, All-Detroit basketball player who went to school on a full scholarship to play college basketball and the best athlete in my family's history, if you ask me. So I've been plugged into women's basketball since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And even I showed up to this party clumsily. None of us really followed the W enough. None of us followed women's college basketball enough to be seasoned and informed enough to cover this sport the way it should be. Mm-hmm. Right? In this most recent headline with them, Angel Reese gets shoved to the ground by Caitlin Clark aggressively and in a way that anybody would respond to the way that she did. And it wasn't dirty. It was a hard foul, but it's the type of foul we see in men's basketball every game. And the game keeps going and there's no psychoanalysis breakdown of the two people involved. Like, no, if somebody pushes you to the ground. It's
because it's part of the game.
Yeah, and you reacted to getting pushed to the ground is normal. Yeah. If I shoved you out of your chair right now, you would react.
Sure.
It's just a normal thing to do. So with them, it turned into a speak piece on how Angel Reese actually hates Caitlin Clark, and you can tell by the way she got off the ground. Well, no, she got shoved to the ground and she got up because she was mad. Yeah. And then they kept playing basketball. And only with these two, and I guess only in women's sports, is the requirement or the expectation that they be best friends and lovey-dovey and hold hands. And like, no, they're competitors playing against each other. They're both trying to win and they both can't win. And if it gets physical and somebody gets shoved to the ground, yeah, they're going to get upset about it like any other human being in the world. Sure. So it's been an interesting thing to watch. But so many of us, and I'll say us meaning men, are showing up to this thing so underinformed and clumsy. You know, they together, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, have brought a lot of additional attention to their game.
Okay.
And it's just like when you and I spoke about Juneteenth, we want all these people to come participate with us. And then when they get it wrong, we didn't want to kick them out. So we're asking for that grace collectively because all the attention that they brought, there's a bunch of people showing up that don't really know how to do it yet. Yeah. And there's a backlash there. Yeah. And it's like, no, you want this attention. You want this coverage. Then they can demand higher salaries and they can get greater exposure and they can make more comfortable livings for themselves. Because it's famously known that a lot of these women have to go play in other countries just to make a fraction of what not even the best men players make. Like the worst men's player that makes a roster will make more than most of their entire league, even the best of them from basketball. And some of them get endorsements and all kind of partnerships, and that kind of helps off the court money. But from basketball, there's still a lot of room for growth for our women players. So, I hope the two of them continue to thrive, but I won't pretend that this narrative is going to go away anytime soon.
Do you want to hear something funny, man? I remember there was, when the WNBA first came out, there was a guy he has a sister. He's Indiana Pacers, I want to say. He has a sister. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Reggie and Cheryl Miller.
Cheryl Miller, right?
And Cheryl is the truth.
Right.
.com, .org, .edu,
/
.tv,
/ semicolon. So Cheryl Miller was the big name. And there was another name of a lady that played basketball. And she was like a white lady, I think. And those are the only two names that I know. I didn't know either of their names. You helped me with Cheryl Miller, but there was another lady. And I want to say like some with an L. Some lady.
That was white?
Maybe she was white, I think. I don't know.
I mean,
but in any event,
off the top of my head, Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper.
Lisa Leslie
are names that stand out to me.
Sounds like but I feel like it was like
Diana Taurasi, Rebecca Lobo.
Rebecca Lobo. I was thinking Lisa Lobo. So I got the names mixed up. Okay. Rebecca Lobo is a white lady, right?
Yeah.
Now, was she playing at the same time as Cheryl Miller, do you think? Or
she's younger than Cheryl, but.
But she was the first one in the NBA or the WNBA, maybe? Or the first, like, big name? Or was there other big names? Well, it goes to show you what I know. I don't know. Anyway, I remember there was white people and black people in the WNBA. And so, again, the point I'm making here is that this always felt very strange that this particular class, is that the right word? This year's worth of freshmen or whatever, classmen or whatever, has this term associated with them so closely. And I think that you're right when you pointed out that, when it's framed in the context of the political climate of the country, where there's kind of an all-American, I'm guessing Midwest, white woman against a bold, strong, champion black woman.
From Baltimore, Maryland.
Be more. Okay, there it is.
Let's just be clear.
Talk to me.
And then went to LSU and the Bayou.
Okay. You said she was Bayou Barbie.
Bayou
I
Barbie.
remember that. Okay. So this is the same girl. Okay, I get it. Same woman. Sorry. I understand now. So yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And I like always, I appreciate you giving me some additional context because, my thinking is, I mean, we're both like super like girl power, go get them. You especially, you have a little girl. I'm just kind of
my daughter in the studio today.
Yeah, she is. I'm from the sidelines though, cheering on, but you actually live in it, right? And wanting a world where women have as much of an equitable go at pursuing their goals, dreams, whatever, as men do. So to hear of this sort of stuff associated with the WNBA when that's the furthest league, like that's the furthest thing from your mind when you think of like race, because normally, I mean not always, but you don't associate that type of sentiment and those type of feelings with women. That's more of like an aggressive, often white male type of energy where it's like divisive and hateful. You don't really think of like racism in female friendly spaces in the same way. I know it's possible, but for me, it was like tough to kind of keep coming across this word. Like, where's this coming from? So I appreciate you breaking it down. And we'll leave it right there. Of course, if you have anything to add to the conversation, I can always learn, and I'm sure Q can learn too, but he knows,
absolutely.
He knows a lot more than I do, but, or if you want to, just kind of let your voice be known, you can do so using the red microphone talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app, or you can hit me on all social media at Ramses Ja.
I am Q Ward on all social media as well.
And until we hear from you,
peace.
This has been a production of the Black Information Network. Today's show is produced by Chris Thompson. Have some thoughts you'd like to share? Use the red microphone talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. While you're there, be sure to hit subscribe and download all of our episodes. I am your host, Ramses Ja, on all social media. Join us tomorrow as we share our news with our voice from our perspective, right here on the Black Information Network Daily Podcast.